Hello and welcome to Senior Speak New Hampshire. My name is Dan Wise. I'm an AARP volunteer, and I just want to point out that AARP is a sponsor of the show, which has been on for quite a while. Today we're going to talk about some programs that are offered by Cooperative Extension. And no, we're not going to be talking about fertilizer or how to prune trees or 4-H, because Cooperative Extension is a lot more than that. Its actual function is distributing and educating people on research-based knowledge. And UNH Cooperative Extension has programs in a whole variety of areas. And I'll share with you, UNH's Cooperative Extension mission is to strengthen people and communities in New Hampshire by providing trusted knowledge, practical education, and cooperative solutions. And for our purposes today, we're going to be looking at one small part of UNH Co-op Extension. The subject area that they have is called Health and Well-Being. And within that segment, there is an extension field specialist with a statewide mission on healthy aging or on aging well. My guest today is Melissa Lee. Melissa, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Speak. So we're going to focus on a couple programs that Melissa works with that are, for the most part, free and open to anybody in the state. And there's a couple programs that are coming up. There's some scheduled programs. There's some programs that are available online. Some are interactive. Some are, as I said, some are in person. Some are in a hybrid situation. But they are some programs that involve the concept of self-management of a chronic condition. There is a program called Living Well with Chronic Pain, Living Well with Diabetes. This is Take Charge of Your Health, and something called Boost Your Brain. And we're going to quickly run through some of those. And then toward the end of the program, we're going to talk about why there is the word cooperative in Cooperative Extension and how Co-op Extension does more to not only provide education to individuals, but to sort of work on coalitions and on bringing partners together in the community to do good things. So, but first I wanted to talk about the Living Well programs that you guys offer.
Yeah.
So can you kind of encapsulate what the Living Well programs are doing?
Sure, yeah. And again, thanks for having me. I am part of our health and well-being team. So we are a statewide team that works with UNH Cooperative Extension out in our communities. And as you mentioned, a lot of the programs and services that we offered are virtual or in person. But I do just want to highlight that I am not a sole extension educator, that I work with a team, and I'm proud to do that. And these self-management education programs that you're speaking of are something that we've been doing through Extension for about the last 5 years in partnership with another organization in New Hampshire. So again, our goal is really to partner and strengthen opportunities for community members. So I just want to highlight that we do work in collaboration with other organizations as well. But self-management, what is the concept behind that? What is self-management when you hear that? So if you or someone you love has a chronic health condition, whether that's arthritis, diabetes, lung disease, heart disease, you name it, anything that's not curable, that isn't going to go away, it changes your life. And with that change, we know that we have kind of an increased relationship with our healthcare providers, right? We're tapping more into the healthcare system, but we're not with them every day. That those of us who live with chronic conditions or support those are making decisions on a daily basis that really do influence and impact our health. So through these self-management education workshops, we call them workshops, we help people learn skills and feel more empowered that they can actually make changes and still live the life that they want to live while managing their health conditions.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we have, I came across a video produced by the Center for Disease Control that kind of gives a doctor's perspective on how self-management programs kind of extend their work into how a person can live well with a chronic condition. So we'll watch that. We'll have that video play, and then we'll come right back.
Patients who live with chronic diseases really need to learn more of the coping strategies that can be taught in a self-management program. I like to tell patients that they are the captain of the ship, I'm the navigator, and really the self-management program will help them know how to be in charge and not let the disease be in charge of them. I have a patient who is having a lot of ongoing pain, and in spite of a whole variety of medication approaches to treat the pain, we were really not making much progress. We were able to get her into a group setting and talk with other patients more about exercise and the importance and how to go about it and what the best types of exercise were. And I think the support of having the other patients with her and hearing that everybody else has these same struggles really motivated her, and she's come back since then. She's exercising, she's feeling better, and really we didn't change anything with her medicines. It was really about her taking charge and finding some ways to change her lifestyle to help herself. My patients lead fuller lives with self-management education programs because they have strategies to help them cope with the day-to-day struggles, and they don't feel so helpless. It really doesn't matter what type of chronic condition you have, there is a program out there for you.
So now you've got some programs coming up, so like the chronic pain program. Can you talk a little about what's the meat of that? What do you take away from something like that?
Well, so all three, I'll start kind of big picture. All three of those programs, the Living Well with Chronic Pain, Living Well with Diabetes, and what we call Take Charge of Your Health, which is for anyone with any type of chronic health condition, are really based in a foundational theory that, as I said, if you're experiencing any type of chronic issue, that it can create this cycle, right? There's an emotional impact of having a chronic health condition. And we know that, often we might feel symptoms like pain or fatigue that come along with a health condition. And we think that those are because of our health issue itself, so the disease process. But in fact, it can create this cycle of you don't sleep well, so you don't feel good. Your body may experience more pain, which causes frustration and difficult emotions. So you can kind of get caught in these cycles. And what we do in these workshops is help people learn tools. We call it our self-management toolbox, where you learn tools to help break that cycle. What are some really effective tools for helping to manage things like fatigue and getting a better night's sleep, or helping deal with pain? And it's everything from exercise to communication strategies. So it's really diverse. People come together in these workshops, they share and learn from each other and practice with these tools and set small goals that they want to achieve. So it's really about, what do I want to do to, either make an improvement in my health or my life, or even just something that I feel like, okay, I'm making steps towards progress. So in the Living Well with Chronic Pain workshop, again, people come together who may be experiencing pain for a variety of reasons, whether it's from an accident or an injury, or a disease process that causes pain, like nerve damage or something of that. Really doesn't matter why, but you come together, you learn, and you share together.
And even though the facilitator is an educator like yourself, it's not a medical person, but it's about living and lifestyle things, and it's based on this is like an evidence-based
It
program,
is,
right?
yes. So these programs were developed at Stanford University, and they're being implemented across the country and the world, just like we're implementing them here in New Hampshire. Again, we have partners at an organization called Southern New Hampshire Area Health Education Center. They're our kind of key partner, helping to spearhead this in New Hampshire, and we're helping to implement this in communities. But you're right, it can be led by lay leaders, so peers, folks who have experience with managing chronic health conditions. It's not a medical model. So yeah, you're spot on. Volunteers, those who, have maybe some experience with educating or facilitating, or who are just passionate about helping others manage their health.
Oh, that's great. So, and then there is Boost Your Brain. The Boost Your Brain program, is that a fairly new addition?
Well, it's something newer to our scope of programs at Extension, yes. So Boost Your Brain and Memory is a fun, interactive way, again, to connect with others, or we have a self-study option, but where people come together, not necessarily just when you think, is my memory going? But how can you start early and keep your brain healthy? What types of things can you be doing on a daily and weekly basis to keep your brain healthy and prevent, things from potentially slipping away, I shall say, before we acknowledge. So everything from nutrition and sleep to those types of brain games that we hear about, right, that are so good for us, keeping our brain active. So all of those things are a piece of the Boost Your Brain program. It has some video content, which is really excellent content that talks about, what is actually happening to our brain as we get older, and why some of these elements of wellness are important.
And will it help me remember? If I did it, will it help me remember names?
So yeah, there are definitely some techniques that can help, I'm sure you're not alone, Dan. So yeah, association, all of those types of things. Yeah, so yeah, there's things that we all experience, right? Where we might say,
Yeah.
how can I?
And are these, how extensive are these, and is there a cost to them?
Yeah. So we have an online self-study program that people can sign up for at any time. And there is a small cost associated with that program, but we say with any of our programs that have a cost associated, if the fee is a barrier, please contact us, and we can work with folks to remove that barrier. So the online program does have a cost. However, our in-person programs are free of charge. So we offer what we call watch parties, which is when groups of people get together and they have a local facilitator that helps guide them through watching the videos and having the discussions and doing the activities. And we have one of those starting in September. So more information is on our website.
For the Boost Your Brain?
Yes.
Boost Your Brain.
Yes.
Now the Living Well programs, are they offered in different parts of the state?
Yeah. We offer them regularly, virtually, I will say. Since the pandemic, we're all accessing virtual things online, and we found that there really is a role for virtual workshops. So we have those fairly ongoing, but then we love to bring them out to local communities. So in September, we're going to be doing the Living Well with Diabetes course in Concord, in connection with the Concord Parks and Rec Department. So we welcome opportunities to partner with host sites to bring these programs out to communities.
So, what are some of the other partners that you have for sites that typically?
Well, I will say often community senior centers, New Hampshire libraries can be great partners. We've had a couple in there, or housing communities. So, some of the housing communities may have a community room where people can gather. So those are some great locations. We love to partner with the healthcare community as well. So,
and how extensive? How many sessions?
Yeah.
Do these typically?
Yep. The
have?
Self-management programs that I mentioned, like chronic pain and diabetes, meet once a week for 6 weeks. So 6 weekly sessions. we advertise it's 2.5 hours per session, and sometimes people say, oh, that sounds like a long time. It goes by so fast. So I always encourage folks, come to the first one. I guarantee you're going to love it. People connect. It's just time flies.
And do you see that there will be sort of often an ongoing relationship or something that will come out of those programs?
We always stress part of self-management is taking action. So oftentimes people will say, what are we going to do? Next week is our last session. And that's always a great chance for the facilitators to remind the group, you're welcome to share contact information. If someone wants to send around a list and continue to convene this group at the library or the park or online, go to it. That's excellent when that happens, and we've seen it happen with quite a few of our workshop groups, which is great.
Yeah. Another thing on the website that you mentioned, and I have taken a look at it, is the wellness wheel. And it's kind of like a fun little activity to kind of find out more about yourself.
Exactly. It's an interactive tool on our website. And it's based on the 8 dimensions of wellness. So, we don't just have physical health and mental health. There's all kinds of elements to our wellness and health. So everything from your financial health to your spiritual health, your environmental health. So it's based on these 8 dimensions, and you go in and you answer a few questions, and it gives you a personalized wellness wheel profile. It shows you where your strengths are with your wellness, and then identifies some opportunities if you want to improve in some of those other areas, and gives recommendations on how to do that. So it's a really fun, great way to, check in on where you're at, and I always tell folks that could look totally different in 6 months. So, something you can revisit.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. That's great. So now the reason the way I met you was through something that you were starting in I don't know if it's Concord or it's Merrimack County. That's kind of one of those things that's a little challenging sometimes, is that in the field of public health in New Hampshire, there is a whole network of public health organizations, but they don't always go by county, and but there's a healthy aging coalition that you're working on, standing up in
the capital area.
The capital area. There you go.
Yes. So you're spot on, Dan. It's not just Concord, and it's not Merrimack County. It's in the region of the capital area, so the greater Concord area. So yes, we have a brand new coalition called the Capital Area Healthy Aging Coalition, which is a partnership with Granite United Way, which is kind of the backbone for what we call our public health network in this area. But other key partners and community members are really excited and engaged in getting involved. I've been acting as facilitator for the group thus far, and really our mission is to bring together interested people and partners in the capital area who have a vested interest in helping people age well, right? And what does that mean? Well, certainly aspects of disease prevention and management, right? If we're healthy physically, mentally, that's really great. We want people to be well and be able to stay active and engaged in their communities. So we're interested in chronic disease prevention and management, helping with falls reduction. The capital area or greater Concord area actually has a higher percentage of reported falls, and that comes from information we get from our local hospital system. So we want to work on helping to make sure that we can reduce the amount of falls that are contributing to hospital visits and potentially people needing care and maybe not being able to remain active. We're also focused on reducing social isolation. We want to keep and get people engaged in their communities. So we know, again, since the pandemic, there was we all kind of sheltered in place and maybe stopped doing some of those things out in the community that we used to do. And especially with older adults, that's kind of, it's been a challenge, and we're seeing, mental health concerns pop up that are really connected to social isolation. So, and we know that caregiving is also a major concern and need. So those 4 areas are kind of elements of health that we're going to focus on, and we're looking to engage with community members and partners who also, those things are of interest. They affect your community, your family, those that you serve. And we have some data from our communities, like I mentioned, the Falls data, that really gives us a benchmark to say, okay, what can we do to make an impact here? How can we help reduce falls? So we're gonna be working on an action plan and doing some things in the community, and really are excited to have partners and folks get involved.
The meeting I was at, there were people from fire departments in rural areas. There was a woman I met who was the Concord Police Department social worker.
Yep.
Who finds that she's in touch with some of the folks who are really isolated, or that the police, are asked to do a welfare check, and they find someone who's in a bad way and who has really very little connections to the community, and then people from the hospitals, obviously, and other health organizations.
Yeah.
It was interesting, and it was like a lot of people did not really know about all of the things that were out there, all the services that existed. So is there a coalition like this elsewhere in the state that this is kind of modeling on, or
that's
how
a
does that
great
work?
question. There are definitely some groups in the state that I think are doing some similar work in collaboration, again, healthcare systems and their public health networks. I know of, in the Lakes region of New Hampshire, they've had a long-standing group, and I know that there are others, but we're certainly seeing with kind of state leadership this opportunity, encouraging engagement in these areas, again, elevating the needs and trying to mobilize communities. So I'm certainly sure we're not alone, but I'm not aware of a huge network of coalitions at this point, but wouldn't that be great if there was?
Yeah. Well, I just wonder about, we don't want to see a duplication of efforts.
Sure.
And I think that can occur when you don't have a way for people to communicate about what they're doing.
Exactly.
And coordinate on a strategy.
100%. And that was one of the things that drove our interest in getting this started, was that a few of us who are connected and offering programs and services were realizing that there was a kind of a communication breakdown, of, well, what is it that your group does, or how can we better collaborate together to spread the word about collectively what we're offering? And again, like you said, not duplicate the wheel.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're going to provide some contact information for Melissa, and the health and well-being section of co-op extension is definitely worth checking into. I guess one last thing is the cooperative in cooperative extension. It's part of your mission to partner with groups? I mean, or is that just a practical thing?
Well, I think it's the actual cooperative element of cooperative extension is that we have a cooperative agreement with New Hampshire counties. Okay. So a lot of people, you hear UNH and you think about Durham and campus, and we are that outreach arm that's bringing research-based education, technical assistance, and helping to meet needs with all of this great academic research, evidence-based theories and programs, bringing them out into communities. So we have a cooperative agreement with New Hampshire counties to kind of be that conduit and get out into rural communities and address needs. Mm-hmm. So we're also, cooperating with folks in New Hampshire to help meet the needs that are identified. So I think that's really kind of the foundation, and we do that in partnership.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you very much for coming in, and I want to just encourage everyone to visit the websites that has the event calendar for UNH Cooperative Extension, which is coming right on the health and well-being section.
Yeah.
Because the UNH Cooperative Extension, as I said in the beginning, yeah, they do help people with picking their fertilizer and doing all those things, but they have a wealth of other resources in other areas. But it's been great talking to you. Maybe we'll come back on again to do something else another time. And we'll be back next month. Thank you for watching Senior Speak New Hampshire.